So it was on the south side Kroger before I come to the church the one time um, that Keitha Barney come to me, and she had 3 black cats that moved into my apartment. And anyway, this is Kroger over here, different side of town. This black cat. Well, it went by 3:02. It said on the video. So the way it went is after the girl, she moved in, there was already a guy named Corey in my apartment that I'd let him rent. Now, she paid her rent first, but then he paid. But the thing was, the girl, she's taking a long time coming, said she's going to move in furniture. Well, the guy, he met me over at Casa Mexicana, where that Furman man works. So it turns out that Furman had seen us there, but I didn't know that he had. Well, so Corey, he stayed there for a while. He stayed, had a mattress, he stayed on it. Turned out the mattress cover, part of it, I had given it to St. Francis. Well, at one point in time, I had to throw away the rest of the mattress cover. I don't think the mattress cover, I don't think it was there then. I think something already happened to it. The rest of it, I had to throw it away. So anyway, when she's supposed to move in with the furniture, well, she ended up coming. And she came with some guy, and she didn't have her furniture with her. She had different things, had 3 black cats. Well, she wanted to lay on the floor. I think I said something at one point in time about us getting a mattress. They had mattresses on a trailer downstairs. Trailer down outside behind the apartment. Okay, you have to go downstairs first. For some reason, it didn't happen. Either it was either she didn't want to or Corey, he wouldn't help her. For whatever reason, she didn't get her own mattress. She wanted to stay on the floor, from what I remember. Well, I left at one point in time, and when I come back, she was in his bed. They liked to stay, close to each other. Well, with this 302, she was getting kind of violent, I thought, or a little weird. I had talked to her, try to stay out of their business, talk to them, a little bit every now and then or whatever it was. But the old janitor, he lived in apartment 302. I told him one night when they were a little out of hand, they'd been smoking a lot, and something was a little nasty or something with the cats and the litter and stuff. I asked him if he would tell them, it wasn't too far from them being there about a month, that they needed to leave. Well, he came to the door and he wouldn't actually tell them, but he looked at them and he's talking about something else. Then after that, I see him and her together. And I've seen her at the apartment different times, on and off. And I don't say nothing to her. The reason why is I already had told her before that. I already told her to leave. And the reason why she had some kind of problem with herself, that as long as she would correct it or do better, as far as I knew, I was going to let her stay, But, so before this apartment, I had an apartment with Constantino Baptista. That was at 601. It's not too far from the video of Jose at 603. And that's also my mother's younger sister's address in Tennessee. It's 603 Georgian Way, Mount Juliet, Tennessee. She was married in Mayfield to a Thomas Abel. And there's that 603 pizza place close by. Well, on this black cat thing, see, I've got this Uncle Paul Edward. He goes to church over at 711 Houseman Street. It turns out his oldest daughter that I know about, Melanie, now they call her Melanie Ivy. She's been called by Melanie Parrish. Melanie Morris was her maiden name. Now, he owns property in Mayfield. Now, the thing about the black cat is there was a picture of his daughter in 1102 West South Street, which is where it's a duplex that my great-uncle owned. His uncle, Leon Morris, he worked in the Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon. There was a picture of his daughter, and behind her, close by her, with a black cat on the wall, I think in 1102, was she when she's a little girl. And I remember that my uncle, he worked at V&V here in Paducah. So that's off of Kentucky. Well, if you go you go down, I guess it's a street there. It's got a Family Dollar, got a hotel. You go down the street a little way, and it becomes Martin Luther King. Well, see, in Mayfield, there's Farthern Street, not too far from some other property he owns. He owns the property across the Mayfield tennis courts. Well, it's called Farthern Street. So if you add the F to the G, it's an M. And if you put it on, the beginning of Farthing, and it's like Martin, and how it goes from Hinklevoe Road in Paducah to Martin Luther King. Well, on Farthern Street at the laundromat, it's got Martin Luther King's son's name on I think some of the machine in there. And my father, before he'd stay with my stepmother a lot, he'd live just right down from the laundromat on the left. I think it's just coming up just shortly on the left. I think it's Highland, the church road. So it ends up about a lot of people do different things. My father, of course, he worked at that tire plant there. I put it on the Angel Gabriel with his Conception General Tire. And then, of course, with Paula's my stepmom's name, it's the same number as Angel Michael. But Raphael, it's like today. Well, years ago, I was over at Los Amigos by the mall, and I had gotten some tacos to go. Walked out of the store, was going towards the mall, and a man named Raphael was driving. And Gabriel was to his right. He's worked at Los Patales in Murray. My first time at Los Patales in Murray was the preacher's daughter at Spring Creek Church of Christ, Karen. She'd married a man named Monty. And I was at high school. I was leaving one day, and Karen was outside. We're going to Los Patales. Martin, he worked there. He was a server. Well, that day, days like Raphael, it's like 61st book in the Bible, 2 Peter. He invited me to get something to drink at Taco Bell. Well, Dinner Bell is close to my dad, where he lived on Etheridge Street, right there. Dinner Bell. But I thought so. So I went with them to Taco Bell. I got a strawberry drink. But Barry was who my stepmom was married to, though, before she married my dad, Barry Youngblood. But after my mother's younger sister got married there in Mayfield, I went to Teresa Youngblood's, just right there close down from the church where you are. I got a swimming pool. Then it was like that backwards with the ERs who one of her daughters married. Last name, Holly Youngblood married Jason Looper. Well, it turns out after my parents divorced, when I was going to start second grade, that Mr. Walden, it's like the president's name now. It was his apartments on Hudson Avenue is where we went to. He was going to start second grade here. He had left mom for this other woman. Is what was on it. Is what I was hearing. So it's Joe Biden now. And anyway, turns out I found out recently the preacher's name at his church, it's been there for years, it's Jason Brown. It's Jason Leeper, who's Holly's married to. Well, I told Mom, after we come here, I want to go to that church. It's Friendship Baptist. She said that I couldn't go. We can go to the north side. But of course, I was born at Western Baptist, when I was first born. And they named me Elizabeth. But my real name's where my parents first saw each other, though. Wherever that is. It's whatever it is. Let's see. Now, that's the Long John Silver's over there. Now, Black Cat, he's going over that way earlier today, or tonight, or whatever. And I went to, before I come over here, it was Longfellow Elementary, 416, was where I went to first grade. But when I got to the university, because my parents wanted me to go, I didn't want to go. Really, I wanted to go maybe to Vanderbilt. The thing was, it was really whatever it was. They wanted me to go. but they weren't going to pay for it, and so it had to be some kind of loan. But then my very first semester, it was a John Long from Pottsville Church of Christ Sunday school teacher that come to see me over there. Kind of like that restaurant over there. So I would go to the computer lounge in the White College, and I'd get on Yahoo Messenger, I think it was, and kept me company, you know. But it was like A&W, though. But we didn't make a video. Now, I think I saw his daughter with some blacks not too long ago over by my apartment. Jennifer Long. Turns out at my grandma's funeral, I guess, is where the girl first saw me. I didn't know who she was at the time. But it turned out later I went to Bath and Body Works, and she saw me in there, and she told me that she saw me at my grandma's funeral. Her dad worked at the airport in Nashville. Now, I don't know. Supposedly he has a place on B. Mason Road. So my mother was supposedly born at Mason Memorial Hospital in Murray, Kentucky, which is where, you know, something about my mother's birth and him coming over there. B. Mason Road and the airport and who my mother is. You know. They call her Janice. I guess my granddad named her my grandma. But I think her name's more like Priest, you know. Do you feel like a cat named Jay? That's John Long's, one of his son's names. I think he just has one son. He may have more. I mean, talking about King David, how many sons did he really have? How many children he would have? Then the Bible said something online about one daughter and 19 sons, and it said something, well, no, he had more sons. He had another son named Jerry Moth. He used to have a cat named Jay. He's black and white. And I went with him to the park here, close, kind of like you. This about this Midtown Market where it's at in Kyler Park. He was in the car, I let the window down, I got in a swing, and I put it down, and they had fixed him. I guess my mother had him fixed without my permission. And when I wasn't looking, I guess, or whatever it was, he went out of the window before I had met something about Valentine's Day. I don't guess y'all like that. With my dad's real name, Victor Fernandez Hernandez. And I call him my dad Joseph, but his real name is Victor. It has to do about, you know, Youngblood's RV, how he's now married to Youngblood, but getting the ending of his name. But after he left, I met Victor. My transmission in my vehicle had messed up. And my mother, without my permission, again, on this fixing the cat, she took it to Indian's Transmission. I told her to take it to the Mazda. It was a Mazda. To take it to the Mazda dealer. She'd gotten her very first Mazda, a white Mazda, in Murray, Kentucky. But this Victor, he lived just 3 down from, the model of my vehicle. I walked from, I guess it was my mother's home, all the way to Costa Mexicana. That was before Furman, I guess, worked there. And I went to the very last booth on the left-hand side, close to the bathrooms. Sat down. I was wearing an angel skirt, a Venenza shirt, navy blue and white. He first called me Senora, then he called me mi amor. And he sat down part of the time. He told me he didn't have no children. He didn't have a wife. Turned out he did have a wife. Afterwards I found out. He had lied to me. Wife named Claudia, supposedly a son named Louis Angel. Or Angel Lewis or something like that. His mother's name's Elba. His father's name Roberto. His brother had been run over here in Paducah, Kentucky. Orlando, and he had another brother named Julio that I know of. Ended up, I ordered a nacho cheese burrito with a Coke. He asked me if he could berrar me or something like that. I thought so, was whatever it was. But we ended up leaving. It was going to be his break. We ended up leaving. We went down the hill behind the restaurant. We went to the mall. This youngest sister I was talking about that was married in Mayfield, she ended up coming to the mall. They had been over at my mom's oldest sister, supposedly having some kind of meal that they didn't invite me to, whatever it was. And so her address was like his brother's name, Julio. 603 Mount Juliet, 603 Georgian Way, Mount Juliet. Victor thought it was Cheeto, was what he said, cool or something like that in Spanish, I think. We went through the mall and went to PetSmart, and we went back to Casa Mexicana, and I think we exchanged phone numbers. We ended up going to this Valentine's Day dance after that over here at St. Thomas More. He wore a Los Angeles jacket, and it was another guy that lived close around to him, Julio. It wasn't his brother. It had the same as his brother's name. He was there. I danced with him at one point there, and then I danced with Victor. Now Julio's back. I went to this salon at Church of Christ on Wednesday to a fish fry. Not this past Wednesday or the Wednesday before, but some Wednesday before that. And I come over here to Jose's. He's by his black truck. And Julio was back. He's standing out there with him. So on my Thomas about this black cat, so you go on up there past the red lights, it's going to turn into Jackson Street's what they're going to call it. So my Thomas, he lived at Jackson Square in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Turns out after meeting Victor, I had to go back to Oak Ridge. I'd been there when I was a little girl before I started my menstrual cycle. Had to go back to Oak Ridge. They had arrested me if my father had done something to me when I was a little girl before I went to second grade. My sister had come out that he had raped her. I couldn't talk about it. I didn't feel comfortable. It would make me upset when people would ask me questions. So I told somebody, it was yesterday, I was over at the Paducah Athletic Club. They got the Black Wolf. Well, when I went back to Oak Ridge, second time, a black wolf come up on this black cat stuff. You get into Oak Ridge, it's an apartment, I think on the apartment complex on the right-hand side, something gate. Black wolf come up. He wanted to hang out. And then me and my Thomas, we had to do it. First time I saw my Thomas, he was working right close to where my mother worked in Oak Ridge at the plant. He was working at the McDonald's, close to the plant. He was sitting by the bathrooms. I put that kind of on that booth by the bathroom where I saw Victor. That he had more than one job. But my grandma Michael, she'd been staying at Jackson Oaks, see, before she passed away, before I had to go to Oak Ridge for the second time. I'd asked one of her caretakers if she thought that it was time for me to, do something. And I'd also asked this girl that worked at Los Amigos named Nori. It got to be one night, I was over here at my mother's, of course she's already in Oak Ridge. She'd lost her job here in town, and I had a cross. I think I had gotten it from TJ Maxx, I think. I was really upset. I was having a hard time. I'd prayed to God beforehand for a husband. And I met Victor, and I thought maybe he was the one. I wanted help. I was having a hard time not having my car. My mom, she wrote up something that the car was mine, even though she took it against my wishes to some other place and signed her name on it. And after that, she stole it. What ended up happening is I ended up having to go to Oak Ridge because all this stuff happened, I guess, whatever it was. She wouldn't ever knock off. She wanted me to help her. I didn't think I could do it. I wasn't like that government kind of thing as far as I knew. That was heavy stuff. I didn't really think so. And, after she stole the car, she assaulted me over all kinds of nasty stuff happened. Really sick. Stole my cats before I had to go to Oak Ridge too. I had two cats. I couldn't seem to do any better with Victor. I had two cats. Had one cat named Baby, which was Jay's brother. I had given the cat to my niece, my sister's little girl. And I had a cat named Gloria from PetSmart. That I had seen the cat first, and then my mom saw it and she got it. But I still considered her to be my cats. I thought she didn't want the cat. She ended up giving them to somebody else. And I got to Oak Ridge. She had gotten another cat. She named it Z. Of course, I'd already lost Jay. Left the window. I left the window crack for him. And that's before I lost the car. And all that good stuff happened. Before I lost Jay, I lost my gallbladder. Things were kind of weird with Mom. Something about my parents divorcing, but then, something else. So I wanted to stay with Dad. Dad said I could stay with him if I'd work. That's at 57 Ether Street. Well, I thought I'd get a job, so I got a job at Goody's. Had a boyfriend named Harvey. At one point in time, I had left work. I don't know exactly what happened, but hit a wall. I'd been